Toni Morrison presents us with a complex storyline with long, tangled branches and a very fragile and complex core, the 7 days. The illusions begin in the very first paragraph of the novel. The explication of Robert Smith and his powerful departure from Mercy Hospital gave readers a withstanding curiosity as to why he leapt into the air on that Wednesday in February. The first reference of racial inequality appears in Chapter 3, when a man named Emmett Till is mentioned in a conversation involving the predominant and seemingly increasing tension buildup between the white and black races. Emmett Till was a young African-American boy who grew up in Chicago, Illinois. Raised by his single mother for the duration of his short life, Till was extremely willing and eager to go live with his uncle in Money, Mississippi when the opportunity presented itself. 3 days after arriving, Emmett Till walked into a small convenience store near his new home to grab a couple of drinks after a long day's work. There was no evidence of what exactly happened inside the store that day, but some of the young men in his group would later report that he either whistled at, flirted with, or briefly touched the hands of the clerk, a white female who happened to be the store owner's wife, Carolyn Bryant. 4 days later, the owner of the convenience store and his half-brother hunted down Emmett Till, beat him brutally, and shot him in the head, then dumping his body into the river. His death was definitely a wake-up call. Some even say that it galvanized the civil rights movement. The reference to this tragic death gives readers a minor insight into the mind of one of the most critical characters in the novel, which will prove to play a large role in the climax of the story. In Chapter 6, one of the main characters, Guitar, presents readers with an interesting ideological point of view, that the ratio of races, the number of white people compared to the number of black people, must be kept in an equilibrium. I help keep the numbers the same, says Guitar. These ideas of balance appear many times throughout the novel, maybe even unintentionally in the mind of Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison was born on Wednesday the 18th of February, which happens to be the day when Robert Smith attempted to take flight, ultimately taking his own life. Robert Smith died on the same day that Toni Morrison was born, which is by no means coincidental. This was also the day that Ruth went into labor with her first son, Milkman. New life, the positive, balances out death, the negative. Another example would be the death of Hagar and Pilate. Hagar dies for love that was too soon cut short by hatred. Milkman was never as emotionally involved in the relationship as she was. This also provides a sense of balance. The death of Pilate can represent balance because her death is the responsibility of Guitar, whose love turned into animosity towards Milkman. This is balance. It is also noteworthy that, throughout the entire novel, readers see glimpses of scenes where Guitar appears to be, quite frankly, putting him in his place. Milkman seems to believe he is higher up in the world, while Guitar is constantly reminding him that he isn't. This is also balance. The 7 Days organization is the deliberate killings of random white people as a result of deliberate killings of random black people. There are 7 members in the organization: Guitar, Porter, Empire State, Railroad Tommy, Hospital Tommy, Nero, and one other man whose name is not mentioned. They are each assigned a different day of the week that corresponds to the days murders take place. They are to kill the white people in the same manner as the black people have died and not tell anyone a word about it. If one of them dies or wants to quit, another replaces them. Guitar reveals in Chapter 6 the origin of this underground organization. The story tells that a man who was a private in Georgia was brutally killed after first having his testicles cut off by a group of white men. After this act of hatred, the organization was formed purely for revenge and to keep the numbers balanced. While there are no specified accounts of any particular private in Georgia, there are many accounts of soldiers in the military receiving this brutal form of punishment in different countries. The racial difference may or may not have played a role in this torture, but it was, indeed, a method of recompense. Cutting off part of the male sex organ was also used as an ancient form of birth control, one that is infamously known in the Bible as sinful. Referring back to the balance that is mentioned throughout the entire novel, this ending of life and prevention of new life does not balance out.
get a fast car. I want a ticket to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a fast car. I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at the convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs and finally see what it means to be living.
Overall, the use of balance and equality in this novel is very extensive. The reiteration of Guitar's strong-minded beliefs magnify the extremity of the 7 Days organization. These men constantly risk their lives for their beliefs, which is ultimately the biggest sacrifice a human can make.